They built this place up. Like, this was not a building. This used to be just tents out here. There was no roof, no ceiling. There was no rooms like this. This is all new. And good thing that I'm a genius, because I recorded some of this footage back in the day to see what the changes would be like. There was this really popular one, the hanging guy. During construction, there was this construction worker that would be hanging around somewhere for his dear life, and they would change where he was every patch, right? Until eventually, when the construction was completed, and they finally gave him a rest. And here he is. This is him. That's the hanging guy. This video is sponsored by World Flipper, link in the description below. Flip your way into exciting and mysterious worlds, teaming up with brave and exotic heroes to fight the forces of evil together. An epic pinball adventure awaits. That's right, World Flipper is a pinball action game with RPG elements for mobile, featuring retro 2D style pixel graphics. Players choose a character aligned with one of 6 elements, and each of them have special skills. The gameplay is super unique, as it takes all the fun, reaction-based precision of pinball and combines it with various RPG mechanics. You can play with up to 2 of your friends in co-op boss battles and take down powerful raid bosses together. And it was actually published by Kakao Games and developed by Side Games. So if World Flipper looks interesting to you, go pre-register in the link in the description below. And you'll receive in-game rewards, including the powerful 4-star unit Arisa and the in-game currency Lodestar Beads. And now back to the video. One of the things that I miss the most in Final Fantasy XIV are some of the really cool skills that we used to have. For instance, Bard had this AoE called Rain of Death, and it just looked really cool. You would do a backflip and rain arrows from above in death. And Dragoons! Oh man, they had a pole dance. It was great. What a good AoE. That's the screaming bloody murder that this was gonna ruin Final Fantasy XIV, the game would be irreparable, and everybody would quit the game. Obviously, it turned out fine. Nobody cared. Do you even know what this weapon was? No, you probably don't. Have you ever even seen one? No, because it didn't matter. But yeah, that was a fun time. I actually really liked the Adept. But then again, I like the really grindy stuff in MMOs, so I have something wrong with me. I'm gonna talk about some class stuff now. Back in Heavensward, Bard and Machinist were casters. Yeah. They would go into a special DPS mode where they did more damage if they casted their spells. Casted their arrows and gunshots. Some people liked it. Those people need some help. And I talked about the cross-class system in the last video, but honestly, there's some really interesting things to go on about that. Like with Warrior, right now they have Nascent Flash, which is an ability to heal themselves for damage that they do, but they didn't always have this, and it's still locked behind level 76. Well, back in A Realm Reborn, Warrior had Bloodbath. Warriors loved this. It was their bread and butter and would basically sustain them in all dungeon pulls. They wouldn't need a healer. But in Stormblood, they removed it, and Warriors were very sad about that, because now they needed a healer to heal them, and that was just no good. Something really funny with the cross-class system. When you took off your job stone, and you just became, instead of like the job, the class, you could cross-class even more things. Oh, I actually have some right here. Bloodbath, Foresight, this was a tank cooldown, yeah, on my Black Mage. Flash. Flash was Paladin's AoE, like, aggro getter. But yeah, I could also get Provoke. You could go into a 24-man raid on a Black Mage or Thaumaturge, and you could just provoke the boss. There it is! Ring of Thorns! I still have it on my bar! I'm on Old Summoner, and there's Provoke. And there's Raging Strikes and Blood for Blood. And Protect. I have Protect. And back in the day, with healers, when you would zone into a dungeon, everybody would stand still and wait for you. Why? Well, because you needed to cast Protect on them, of course. I still have it on my bar. It's right here. And then in a raid, you would cast Stone Skin on everybody. This was like a shield. And then if you had a Scholar in your group, you would make them cross-class Stone Skin so that they could help you put Protect on everybody. One of the biggest changes to tanks over the years was Tank Stance. Tank Stance used to reduce your damage taken and reduce your damage that you dealt. So Paladin had Shield Oath, and then they also had Sword Oath, and Sword Oath was their damage stance. But because Tank Stance would reduce your damage by 20%, it became standard where a raid group would just have their tanks never in Tank Stance. Because we couldn't lose 20% damage to that. We had DPS checks to make, man. They would use melee accessories, so they would go steal the Dragoon's accessories and put them on instead because they had strength. And a tank that was doing this never in